everybody. Welcome to another episode of Practical IT. In today's episode, we're going to take a more in-depth look at options for using rsync on Windows. Some of the options that exist are the rsync.net client for Windows, which is probably the easiest option for most Windows users. There's the FileZilla client, where you can do SFTP uploads to rsync.net or another rsync provider. You may want to use this in conjunction with the internal Windows backup tool. There is Duplicada. There is rsync, which is now available to Windows users when you have Bash for Windows in Windows 10 installed. Probably more aimed at advanced Windows users and people that have prior experience with Unix and Linux type systems. And perhaps the oldest way to get rsync on Windows is to use Cygwin. This has been around for quite a long time, and not for the faint of heart, but it's not terribly difficult to install and configure either. There are many resources available on the internet to help you do this. So we're going to take a look at several of these options, not every single one of them, but we will take a look and you can make a more informed decision on how you may want to use rsync on Windows. I'll see you in the next segment. The first option we're going to take a look at on Windows is the rsync.net backup client. So I've got this down here on my taskbar. We'll open it up. And currently I've got it in advanced mode. There is a wizard mode, which is a little simpler, gives you a smaller amount of options. But generally, I think most of my viewers are ready for using this advanced view. So we're going to click the plus. We're going to just do a sample. We're going to back up pictures. We're going to call it pictures. The left-hand side. So where is it coming from? We're going to say browse. And then we're going to open up my profile and select pictures and say OK. On the right hand side, if you're using rsync.net, you would choose Internet. And plug in my particular rsync.net server, USW S009. If we click the folder, it will spit back the existing folders. So we're going to select Win10 Backup, and we're going to say Create New Folder. And we're going to give it a name, Pictures, and say OK. So now we've got a Pictures folder inside the Windows 10 Backup, and we want to select that folder and say OK. And we will say OK again. So now we've got the full SFTP path to the server on this side. We can come down here and we can play with more advanced settings. So in this case, we're going to play with the zip and encryption. And just because I haven't played with this yet, we're going to select zip each file individually when copying left to right. And we're going to select compression level of fastest. And we're going to say OK to that. And we'll select our profile here. It's highlighted in blue. And we'll go ahead and run selected profile. And it's going to give us this screen here. And if we say start, it'll present us with progress bar, and it's going to start pushing stuff over. Folders created 2, and we can say OK to that. I'm going to drop out of my Windows session for a moment, and I'm going to bring up my FileZilla, and we'll connect that way on the Mac just to verify. And if we look at Win 10 Backup and we refresh this, we've got pictures. And we did, in fact, tell it to compress with zip each file. So even the files inside this are compressed, which will save us a little bit of space. So we have successfully used the Windows rsync client. Bring that back up one more time. We've successfully used the backup agent provided by rsync.net to run our backup. The additional thing you can do is you can hit the scheduler and you can schedule these profiles to run at specific times. So we go to tools and settings, there are different options there. I have not played with this too much yet because I am primarily using Linux and Mac machines, so I'm using facilities on those operating systems to handle the majority of my backups. If I start using this Windows machine for more things, then I will investigate further and probably do another video on how to use some more of the features of the backup agent. Until that time, we're going to go on to our next segment and use FileZilla on Windows in conjunction with the Windows Backup utility, and you'll see that in the next segment. In this segment, we're going to look at the combination of FileZilla and Windows Backup. Now, your version of Windows Backup may vary, so I'm not going to spend too much time on Windows Backup. What you need to know about this is that you can create a backup using a utility built into the system utilities with Windows, either through your control panel or the new system or settings app, depending on which version of Windows you're running. So the basic rundown on how you do this is you'd use that utility to make a backup, and then you come into FileZilla, as you can see here on your screen, and then you would take, and let's find something here on the Windows side. So say you want to take favorites, and you can say upload, and then you've got a copy of your favorites over here on your remote side. Now, the biggest drawback of this is that it's not terribly easy to automate this process. You can automate the part where Windows runs your backup, but if you're using the FileZilla application to go to your remote destination, there's going to be some manual intervention required. If you use the rsync.net backup client, if you use Duplicada, or if you use rsync for Bash on Windows, there are ways to automate this process. But if you want something simple and you don't mind the manual intervention part, then this might be a solution for you. Or if you're in a situation where having the scheduled pieces does not work well for your particular application, then this may be an alright solution for you as well. So Maybe not the best option, but it is in fact an option, and in a pinch, it doesn't hurt to have this in your back pocket to be able to use this. We'll see you in the next segment with Duplicati. In this segment, we're going to look at Duplicati. Duplicati is a .NET based backup software that will allow you to back up to multiple different types of remote locations. The user interface is in the browser, and since it's .NET, you can actually run it on Linux and Mac OS using Mono. For the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to set up a new backup, and we're going to go through and back up files to my rsync.net location. So after you've downloaded Duplicati, you can search on Google to find it, download the MSI file for Windows, install it. You will get a screen that looks like this in your web browser, your default web browser. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Add Backup. We're going to configure new backup, so we just say Next. We're going to call this Demo Backup. We're going to go ahead and use the AES 256 encryption. We're going to type in a passphrase. And click Next. Storage type. In this case, we want to choose SFTP. Now, as you can see, with all the different options down here, including Dropbox, Google Cloud Storage, and Google Drive, you've got many options available to you with this particular software. For our rsync.net, we're going to choose SFTP, which is actually FTP over SSH, so it's secure. We're going to enter our credentials. And then we'll test our connection. Say yes for the SSH key. And we should get a positive status message. And then we can come down and we can either play with advanced options. And they give you different advanced options there. Or we can just click Next. Okay, so now we're going to choose what files we want to back up. So for this, I'm going to go into Pictures, and we'll back up to picture files there. We'll go into my Documents, and we'll choose the text file. Again, we're going to keep this pretty minimal. And then we can, of course, do filters. If you wanted to use filters, you may want to exclude things such as ISO files or executable files. And that would actually be under exclude, and you can set different things there. We're not going to play with that right at this point in time. We can click Next, the days you want it to run on, and however many days, run every blank days. We'll just click Next, and it talks about upload size and keep number of versions. And again, advanced options are available. Different things you can do with the encryption and other things here. Not going to say pick an option there, so we'll click Save, and then next scheduled run is today at 1 p.m. Let's run our backup. Okay, so it tells us that our backup is 226.77 kilobytes, and there is one version of our backup. And we know that it took 11 seconds to run. Now, obviously, if you've got larger files, it's going to take longer to run. So, for instance, if we wanted to add a second backup, we'll call this videos. Say next, and we'll go through our same process. Let me look up one piece of information here. Do that. And we'll go through and test our connection. Create the folder that doesn't exist. And connection worked. Go to next. And we'll choose a video. We're just going to do one at this point because videos will take longer. And we'll say next. And next again. Advanced options. Let's play with this a little bit this time around. And let's see what it might give us for different options. There's encryption, disable options, there's passphrase options, zip compression. Well, since it's a video file, it's already heavily compressed. But that does exist there. You can set it so it'll send you an email when it completes its upload. So we're going to say save on that one. Passphrases are not matching. And so we'll test this again. And we can continue through our wizard. And we're going to delete this particular backup after we run it. So I'm not going to worry about saving the passphrase. Alright, so it looks like that completed, and that took 35 seconds to upload, provided it's actually complete. But you all get the point. I'm pretty sure this is a pretty powerful piece of software. It is still labeled as beta, but that's sort of a misnomer in the open source world because a lot of the beta labeled software is extremely stable. And we can look at logs here real quick. Select a log level to see messages as they happen. So we'll say information. And there's a fatal error at 11:29, which is a few minutes ago, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So I'm going to minimize the Windows session, and I'm going to bring back my FileZilla running on the Mac. So our backup, here's our backup files from our initial test backup. For the second one, we created a folder called videos, and it's got the 3 files, including an index file that's zipped and has AES encryption on it. And if we refresh, file size did not change, so we should be pretty good as far as knowing that our backup completed. On that note, we'll call it quits for this segment, and I'll see you in the next one. In this section, we're going to look at using the rsync included in Bash for Windows. In this first example, we're going to go into the Documents folder. We'll take a look at what we've got in here. And we're going to run rsync -uavz --progress, and we'll say /star.txt, and then put in credentials for your destination location. Should ask for the password. And we're done. The second example, we're going to go up one level, clear our screen, and we're going to again do rsync uavz progress. We're going to exclude any pcap.ng files, and that's going to be in single quotes, and we're going to say /documents and our credentials. And it goes ahead and runs the update, the backup. As you can see, this works nearly identically to how you would run the same commands on Linux or Mac OS using Bash. Stay tuned for our wrap-up. As you can see, there are many options using rsync on the Windows platform. There are many other options for backing up on the Windows platform, but if you want a backup solution that is completely cross-platform and be able to use the same backup service whether you're running Mac OS, Linux, or Windows. rsync and rsync.net are very viable options for you. So this brings us to the end of another episode of Practical IT. If you liked the video, please like below, please share, please comment, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great day.